Finally, the one and only C.R. Martin has come back to YouTube! Happy Chinese New Year, dear people of YouTube, or should I say Gong He Fa Chai? I hope I pronounced that right. Prior to this video, I knew next to nothing about Chinese New Year. Then I did some research, and by research I mean scouring Google for 5 minutes, and I made a pretty fascinating discovery. The Chinese zodiac is comprised of 12 animals, much like the 12 star signs in the Western zodiac. Unlike the star signs, which correspond to a single month in a year, the animals correspond to an entire year. And 12 animals means a 12-year cycle that repeats itself over and over again. 2017 is the year of the Rooster. The show that we'll be talking about today came out in 2005. Do you get where I'm coming from? Now, you might be thinking, what a coincidence! And you'd be right. Does it matter? Fuck no it doesn't, because I'm still gonna talk about it anyway. It's time to Dragon Up. American Dragon Jake Long by Jeff Good debuted on the Disney Channel in January of 2005, amidst other action and action hybrid shows and films that comprised majority of that generation of media. If you want a more specific categorization, this series is part of the subgenre of teenage boys or girls who live two separate lives, a mundane one and a badass, exciting one. And the bulk of the conflict comes from their efforts to strike the perfect balance between these two lives. The series follows the titular character, Jake Long, a Chinese-American teenager from Manhattan, New York, with all the typical defining characteristics of a teenager. Brash, confident, cocky, adventurous, and academically sluggish, but loyal, honorable, and not beyond reason. What many people don't know about Jake is that he can transform into a fire-breathing dragon, and using this ability, serves as the champion for an unseen parallel world of magical creatures. Every single day for him presents a new kind of trial in which he must balance his lives as a teenager and a hero, and he tackles these trials with the aid of his friends and family. It sounds like very typical action comedy fare, and I wouldn't blame you for thinking that way. That's because, well, it is. What you see from American Dragon Jake Long is what you get. But what you get is still pretty good in some respects. You get some decent action, decent comedy, a decent art style, and decently endearing moments. That doesn't sound too convincing. Come on, Martin. You can do better than this. Use that noggin of yours. Think. Ah, I got it. Let's take a look at the characters of the show. We'll start off by elaborating some more on the protagonist, Jake Long. I said that Jake Long is a Chinese-American teenager who hails from the Manhattan area of New York. And dear God, does it show.
Yo, pay attention, cause Jake Long is in the hizzy, about to audition for my man, Mark Antonizzi. Yo, I'm all over it. Dragonfire is in his house. Yeah, ha, whoa. Halloween hams and hip-hop scams. Nilla cream clams and trip-hop slams.
Could you repeat that, please? I'm not quite sure I understood you.
Principal Dersetto, I was all chilling in class and out of nowhere Rotwood's all, yo, report to the principal's office, for like no reason. Hey, no worries, the Amdrag's into his house. Holla back now, holla back. No way, Trix. Mag Daddy Jake's gotta play it cool. Do you understand the words that are coming out of my mouth?
Hey, buddy, just a piece of advice. Here on planet Earth, we speak human because, well, we're, I don't know, human? Holy shit, what did I just listen to? Don't answer that, I already know. Some really nauseating urban slang that is so terribly dated in this day and age, and maybe even in its day and age. Like a bottle of wine, except when you drink it in, your gag reflexes go into overdrive and you're forced to run to the nearest toilet to retch. You know, there should be a limit to how much cringe is allowed at any one time. This is just... Look, I get it. Jake is young, he's into skateboarding and hip-hop, urban music was immensely popular during the time of this show's existence, much to my crushing disappointment, and to be fair, this is New York we're talking about here. But this? People... this is painful. There's nothing endearing about Jake's usage of street slang. None whatsoever. This is a problem that many shows, not just the shitty ones, face when they try too damn hard to be attuned with the recent trends around the world. The usage of internet memes is fine in manageable dosages, and they may be good for a few yucks, but only to those who know what these memes are and have a fondness towards them. And even then, they can only last so long before people inevitably outgrow them. Why is it so hard for these networks to remember exactly what makes the greatest of the great so compelling and timeless? Strong and memorable characters, fantastic storytelling, and beautiful audio-visual design have always been and always will be the holy trinity of good media. Is it too much to ask that Cartoon Network, Nick, and Disney hammer it into their fucking heads? Is it? I read a small blurb or two stating that voice actor Dante Bosco was actually ad-libbing during recording sessions for the show, which apparently played a role in Jake's character one way or another. One of the executive producers even admitted as such in response to the criticism that was rightfully raised by a majority of people who saw the show. So if you guys want someone to blame, then... There's Dante Bosco! Over there! Get him! I'm kidding. It wasn't just him, it was also the writing of the show, which I do admit does improve over time. More so during the second season, which we will get into, don't you worry. Just a bit of a disclaimer, prepare to have caps lock turned on for that. So that's the protagonist, Jake Long. The other characters of American Dragon are Jake's family, attractive and well-meaning mother Susan, dorky but also well-meaning father Jonathan, overachieving little sister Haley, and finally Jake's mentor and maternal grandfather, Laoshi. Outside of family members, there's also Fudog, the 600-year-old talking canine companion to Jake and Laoshi, Jake's best friends Arthur Spadinsky, or Spud, the ditzy but not stupid one, and Trixie Carter, the token black chick, meaning she uses the stereotypical black vernacular that not every African American is known for. Yes, this also means she uses 10 times the eardrum shredding slang that Jake uses, and unlike Jake, she doesn't let up. And thus, I hate her.
Girl talk is not my steez, okay? Trixie does not do the giggly-headed, nail-painting, hair-braiding, boy-liking, like popcorn nibbling flim-flim. Check it, I set the speakers up for maximum bumpage, yo. Care to do the honors? Aye, now you're not just a wrestler, you're a wrestler with mad style. Pop your collar, babe. Yo, dog, we was born ready. Me and Spud are so on top of this thing, we're getting short on oxygen up here.
Shut up! The last character worth mentioning is Rose, the love interest of our hero. She seems like a pretty nice girl, on the surface, but there's something off about her. I can't quite wrap my finger around it. I just know that there's another side to her, something that she isn't willing to tell anyone unless she 100% trusts in them. Oh, right. She's also the Hunts Girl, a masked assailant doing the bidding of an evil organization known as the Hunts Clan. Who knew? Those boys and girls are the characters of American Dragon Jake Long, and what band of characters would be complete without a renowned voice cast? Breathing life into these characters include the likes of Dante Bosco, like I've already brought up, Keone Young, John DiMaggio, Lauren Tom, Jeff Bennett, Amy Bruckner, and Mae Whitman. Mae Whitman? Hold it. Dante Bosco and Mae Whitman working together on the same show. Oh fuck, Mae, run for cover! We have another ship war coming! No, false alarm. Besides, Avatar came out a month after American Dragon did. But still, can I get an I? Can I get an R? Can I get an O? Can I get an N? Can I get a Y? Put that together and what does it spell? A very awkward serving of the coinkydinks.
Coincidence? I think not!
Thank you, Disney. Thank you for giving the Zutara shippers all the ammunition they need. That's enough of that bullshit though. Let's take a look at what American Dragon has to offer. As you'd expect from a show of this nature, American Dragon Jake Long features a seamless blend of action and comedy, with much of the conflict involving a clash between aspects of the human world and the magical world, and Jake being entangled in the center. Since the human and magical worlds are designed to be separate from each other, this also means a lot of secrets for Jake to keep from many of the people he knows, even his own father, who knows absolutely nothing about any of this dragon business whatsoever. The action is pretty conventional, even by the standards of the genre. Jake being a dragon means there's a whole lot of fast-paced, high-flying, fire-breathing fun to be had here, with a hint of the occasional martial arts thrown in for good measure. Keeping the action from becoming too stale is a diverse rogues gallery comprised of human and magical nemesis that generally coincide with whatever personal dilemmas that our hero is currently facing. By all accounts, all of that really is the bare minimum of the offerings of an action series, but still fairly entertaining for what it is. The best parts of this show are when the overarching plots are thrown into the equation, from Rose's backstory to her eventual rise as one of the Hunts Clan's top-ranking officials, to Jake's struggles with telling his father about his mother's side of the family, to the terrifying, unspeakably evil, Dark Dragon. What a creative name! said no one ever. Once again, pretty standard action stuff, but nonetheless refreshing and compelling, especially Rose's backstory. I like how the affection between Jake and Rose and the somewhat noble animosity between the American Dragon and the Huntsgirl are juxtaposed against each other. It adds a welcome web of complication to what is otherwise a simple affair between two teenagers in love and molds it into compelling and emotionally swaying drama. However, due to Season 1's primarily episodic nature, the writers aren't able to play around with this dynamic that much. Jake and Rose get their moments of tension when they come to blows, but they don't escalate anywhere beyond that, nor are they used in such a way that it touches on the audience's expectations. It's only in precisely 2 episodes that this happens, and it's too bad. Rolling with an idea that was dead in the water from the get-go is one thing, but not rolling with an idea that is a literal goldmine is something else altogether. It's a shame. A damn shame. That is, until Season 2 rolled in. Now, controversial opinion time, I thought that Season 2 was better than Season 1. The writing was improved, the continuity was utilized better and more often this time around, Jake toned down his street slang significantly. Can't say the same for Trixie though.
Take my textbook for instance. This bad mamma jamma weighs more than I do. So what if we put all this stuff online? Save a few trees, save a few spines. I know the rules. Bid high, baby, because you'll get your guy for one romantic week. He'll carry your books to class, cook you a candlelight dinner. That is a serious blog slapping you're laying down on Rightwood, boy. But isn't this just gonna make the popularity beatdown worse?
I said shut up! And this is the controversial part of my opinion. I think the art style and Jake's new dragon form are better? Okay. Before you murder me, and if you do, you're paying for my funeral bills, thank you, allow me to say my piece. Season 1 of American Dragon Jake Long had what I believe is a bland art style that punctuated the inherent genericness of the show, which is not a good thing. The show would have benefited from a bit of shading or tingeing to its colors, but the first season hardly used them, giving the show a drab and uniform look despite its large palette. Many of the characters sported rounded designs that had little to no edges to them. It's like their heads or limbs aren't heads or limbs at all, and more like deformed or bloated footballs. There's no definition to them, no uniqueness. Enter Season 2, a striking rise in quality for the show. The colors are darker, giving the show some much needed contrast, and the character designs look sharper, which, again, I believe is a good call. And now, Jake Long's redesigned dragon form. Maybe I should start with the reason why the design change has received such a mixed reaction and what that reaction boils down to. Season 1 Jake Long is a thickly built motherfucker, with a great deal of muscle on his chest and arms. The neck is also short, the hair is combed back, and the underbelly is generally big. Season 2 Jake Long has a slender, more serpentine structure, with a longer neck, a slighter curve on his jaw, the hairs on his head are standing up, and his underbelly is smaller and longer. I've seen both sides of this debate, and trust me when I say that it's as impassioned as it gets. Those who prefer Season 1's design explaining why it's better while decrying the flaws of Season 2's design, and vice versa. Let's settle this conundrum once and for all. First off, Season 1 Jake Long is meant to resemble dragons as portrayed in the Western world. Large, hulking, powerful, and combative. Season 2 Jake Long is more akin to the portrayal of dragons in the Orient, the East, which is, a part of Jake's heritage. That's all fair and good, and I understand the stances of the people who support either of these designs. The reason why I personally find Season 2 to have the better dragon form for Jake also ties with the reason why I find Season 2 to have the better overall aesthetics. It's proportionate with Jake's heritage and frame. With the Season 1 design, the impression that I got was that he came down with an overblown case of the steroids. And thematically, it makes perfect sense considering that Oriental mythology and folklore have depicted dragons as mighty yet benevolent entities, more so than their distant cousins from the Occident. In conjunction with his reduced use of slang, Jake's transition between two different dragon forms reflects his character growth. At first, he was headstrong and cocky, and while he retains those traits, he also becomes more level-headed and mature as time goes on. No disrespect if you happen to enjoy the first design though. I'm not gonna rain on your parade, as long as you don't rain on mine. We good? Awesome. Now fuck off with your filthy furry fetishes. Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't mean that. I got caught up in the moment again. Honestly though, if furry fetishes are the reason you prefer the Season 1 look, then keep that shit to yourself. As for the actual Season 2 episodes themselves, I found myself rewatching them more than the Season 1 episodes because of the improved writing. The standalone nature still remains, but the more frequent references to the overarching stories make these episodes seem like they serve a bigger purpose. The stakes feel that much higher because of this, and the episodes that focus entirely on these arcs are nothing short of solid. It was nice to see a potential alternative outcome where Jonathan learns the truth about Susan's family. Sure, it was just a what-if scenario that was undone by the end of that particular episode, but it's a pleasant indication on how the story arc was going to be resolved. It's like showing your dog a doggy treat and dangling it above his head before you actually give it to him. Similarly, the story arc with Rose and the Hunts clan was entertaining up to the end. She, the Huntsman, and hell, the entire Hunts clan were much improved, with the Huntsman's motivations and his origin being more well defined than in the last season. Although I would have preferred the bittersweet ending to that particular arc simply for the emotional profoundness and the wide window it leaves for Jake to develop. But because this is Disney, the show decided to play it safe and give us a straight up happy ending. Oh, excuse me, I'm getting ahead of myself. Speaking of that, the aforementioned happy ending had to come with its caveats, but the caveats that it came with were not what the fans had hoped for. The Dark Dragon was already an underdeveloped character as it is, with the only real connection he has towards the main characters being told through short bouts of exposition. For all intents and purposes, the Dark Dragon being an arch-nemesis to Lao Shi and, soon enough, Jake, should have been intriguing, and from there the writers could have filled out the blanks when it came to his motivations. Alas, that never came to be. The Dark Dragon is a living, breathing embodiment of all bark, no bite. Really, what do his on-screen schemes amount to? Luring the heroes into a trap only to have his ass kicked in the most weak sauce ways ever? Dude, you're a gigantic, fire-breathing dragon. You should be able to brush off those girders like dust on your shoulders. And how in the blue hell does someone like you lose to someone who's 1/16 your size?
Ow! 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 Oh, no! 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 No, he did not. He did not. He did not. No, no. There's yeah, and then there's no, and that was no. No, that was not. No. No. No.
Thank you, Nostalgia Critic. Saying that I'm disappointed would be an immense understatement. Maybe your voice will suffice as a consolation prize.
I know all about you and your dragon tests. How pathetic to care so much about remaining the student of a second-rate master. Together we shall create an army of magical creatures. An army which shall overthrow the humans so we can take back our rightful place as rulers of the earth. You have no idea of my dark powers! So much power. It's too easy.
Ooh. Oh, please. Whisper some sweet nothings into my ear, Clancy Brown. Ooh, chills. I can feel something tingling below my belt. As underwhelming as the outcome might have been, you can't really pin the blame on the production staff. The thing is, corporate stupidity has a way of utterly fucking up the creative process. You see, the American Dragon writers had completely mapped out what direction they wanted to take the show. The original plan was that Season 2 was going to be dedicated to the Aztec Skulls and, by extension, the Hunts clan, and a potential Season 3 was going to be dedicated to the Dark Dragon. Not to mention individual shocking possibilities like the death of a supporting character, and more minor yet still baffling bits and pieces like outright preventing Jake from breathing fire at all, or having him wear his knee and elbow pads while in his dragon form!
You are made of stupid.
Thank you again, George Takei. Knowing Disney's track record with their shit treatment of their animated programming, I'm willing to bet that everything I just said is only the tip of the iceberg with a plethora of ideas that the staff might have had but were unfairly, unceremoniously scrapped. Speaking of the tip of the iceberg, what happened with Wander Over Yonder is exactly that, the tip of the iceberg. And I fear that the unexplained drought in Paul Rudish's Mickey Mouse shorts means that history is yet again repeating itself. If this is a case of history repeating itself, then I wish I had a fricking DeLorean to rewrite history myself, but that's wishful thinking for ya. Oh, Disney, I fucking hate you, you two-bit douchebags! And that was American Dragon Jake Long, a pretty standard action comedy animated series whose development came from the simmering down of its annoying habits. All things considered, it would have been stronger and, heck, more memorable had it been allowed the freedom that animation does now. What do you think of the show? Do you like it? Do you hate it? Do you have any fond memories you'd like to share? If you do, leave a comment down below. And if you like what you see and want to see more, don't forget to like and subscribe. I'm the one and only CR Martin, and there's a giant steaming chicken bun with my name on it that needs attention. Ciao for now.